Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of Infernal Intercourse with me and Pastor Brian. This time we're going to talk about the nature of demons. On the show, they seem to be created specifically for hell. We learn in the second season that they don't have souls, and that means they're not angels, they don't have wings, and that they just seem to be intrinsic to hell itself, as far as we can tell. So take it away, Pastor Brian. Some thoughts on demons?
Yeah, I mean, demons are one of the harder things for me. People are going to say there are demons in the Bible, and I mean, they're certainly mentioned, but I don't get a good definition, just like you don't really get a good definition of hell in the Bible. It's certainly not the way we think about it. But certainly in occult mythology, and certainly in many Mideastern mythologies, demons are part of it. And continue on into Islam and other things like that. So I feel like it's the easiest area for this show to define what a demon is. I don't sense that I'm pretty well aware of like exorcisms and things like that within specifically Catholic Christian theology. And this doesn't make reference to how demons are perceived in that mythology. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I like how they've defined demons in this, and I think they had a lot of freedom to do it, and I think they did a good job.
Okay. So we do get some little bits on apparently the sort of exorcisms we see in at least movies about exorcisms, which always have some Catholic priest praying a lot of, Latin at things.
That's so true.
Necessarily
Dominus is the word, right? That's the word.
But we learned in like very end of the fourth season there that in their Lucifer's version of how demons are, they can possess people, but the people have to have just died, and that they can only possess them from hell. So Maze can't do it from Earth. She could do it from from hell, but the person has to be like freshly dead. So there's no soul in this body. They can only move into a body without a soul, which would not be like the sort of exorcisms we hear about.
That's correct. I hadn't made that connection, but that's exactly true. That would be very different from the mythology of exorcisms. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're more like animating corpses in Lucifer. So they're almost zombie-ish kind of things.
Always really hot corpses.
Well, I don't know, hot, but they're...
Maze, Mom.
She's in her own body. She's not.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
It's the people at the end of season 4 there, where that one's possessing the dead body of the priest who is trying to get Lucifer, right? And then he gets others to come once they decided that Lucifer is staying on Earth and they don't like that. So apparently Lucifer at some point had forbidden them to do that. So anything that's been a demon, apparently, for the past however long it's been since Lucifer forbade this, has got to be something else. Because
you're right. The people I was mentioning weren't really the demon things. Well, Maze, she's hot, but you're right. That's her own. But is it her own body, or is it like Lucifer, where that's the mask she's wearing here?
Well, I don't know. That could be a whole other episode. Is that what they really look like? Because she's really the only one we've seen that he's like pulled out of hell and directly brought to Earth, and so that's what she looks like. But
and she presided over that torture of Abel, right? But Abel didn't recognize her, so it was interesting.
And yet the demons who come up in the season 4 recognize Lucifer right away. So and Eve recognizes him apparently. So yet he doesn't look very Sumerian, which you think he would have looked like if she had met him in Sumer. So maybe there's something about him, his aura or something, that people who know him will recognize him whatever he looks like. I don't know. They haven't really touched that, I don't think. But why he's a 6'3" white guy now, but he should have been like a 5 foot tall kind of brown guy with, in Sumer.
Yeah, like Jesus, but who's not Sumerian but similar. It's interesting too because if Lucifer's rules are being flouted, I think that fits into the whole idea of, God and Amenadiel. They probably encourage that, right? Because they're trying to punish Lucifer, get him back to what he's supposed to be doing, right? So take away his authority and challenge his authority. I like that. That's very demonic. I like that.
But then you see God is doing that, so like God.
Yeah. Well, in this series, who knows?
Yeah, so the demons, we get them as sort of this part of hell. So I don't know if they're supposed to be servants or slaves or just, sort of the cogs in the wheel, or what are they actually doing? Is everybody trapped in these hell loops? Is everybody in with them a demon, or are they just like the holograms that these people kind of walk through as they repeat these little loops over and over? And how many demons do you really need to watch over a bunch of people who are stuck in these automatic things? I mean, really, once you get in your hell loop, you just stay there, right? Whether it's a day or an hour or a year, you just keep looping this over and over and over again. So you think it would not take a lot of tinkering, and the demons wouldn't have much to do. And Maze does say they get bored. When
Yeah.
Abel is loose, and she's like, oh, well, we were bored, because Lucifer says, well, he'll be speaking Sumerian, it'll be easy to find. And she's like, yeah, but see, we ran him through a bunch of scenarios, and we taught him some languages, and so he knows all the Romance languages, and he's really good with English. And Lucifer's like, so what you're telling me is that hell made him adaptable and multilingual. So apparently you can learn in hell. The demons feel like being your school teachers when they get
That's
bored.
what I thought. I thought that was a departure because it showed the demons more adding to the torture rather than just the idea that we're in our own hell of our own making. Right?
Yeah, they're not always consistent on some of these things. What we need to talk about in some other episode is like, how do you get into hell? Because they don't seem to have settled on that even after 4 seasons. What gets you trapped in hell?
But I love that Cain is the hot, lovable one of Cain and Abel, though. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, Abel is such a jerk, right?
Yeah, total jerk.
Total jerk, and yet when Eve talks about him, she says, "My sweet Abel." It's like, so she liked him as his mother. She doesn't seem too worried that Cain just got killed by Lucifer. So, she's like, oh, well, he probably deserved it.
Yeah. That is interesting. Because Abel is such a privileged mommy's boy. Kind of Joseph in the multicolored coat kind of a thing going on with Abel there too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Although I don't think that Joseph was such a woman hound, that's for sure. I think Joseph was one of my team. I think I tend to think of Joseph as unique. Totally other episode, another story.
Yeah. So in this story, we have demons who don't seem to have much relation to what we would consider, I guess, traditional demons in a sense, but those demons really aren't so much in the Bible either. Those have been sort of post-biblical inventions in a way. I mean, is there any verse anywhere in the Bible where it really literally says, like, Lucifer took a third of the angels and they went down to hell? Because that's what I hear is like, people say, oh, that's who's occupying hell. Well, who said that? Who invented that?
I mean, it might be in there. I've read every word, but it could be in Daniel. It could be I don't think it's in Revelations, but it could be in Daniel. Or I mentioned earlier the book of Enoch and a couple of those other Apocrypha do a little more. And I think they came a little later, and I think they're influenced a lot by Hellenism. And so, which is interesting because their gods, to a certain degree, take a lot of these roles that we divide up between angels and demons and heaven and hell. And I mean, I would have to do a search in the Bible, but just off the top of my head, I don't ever remember theology in Scripture about demons. They're mentioned, but like not defined or explained that I remember.
Right, because Jesus casts out a bunch of them from different people, but it's not really explained where they come from or where he casts them out to, or
what I would love to
real nature is.
Love to do a whole episode on where he cast the demons into the pigs. That's a whole that's a whole other episode.
Yeah. Okay, so any other thoughts on demons, either in the show or in? Because this is something, again, I don't really know that I got much of that in Protestantism. Do you guys talk about it in Catholicism more? Mostly just the guardian angel thing, where you get a lot more of that than we Protestants get.
We talk more about the devil because, in theory of more recent mythology, the devil would be the boss of the demons, right? So demons can't, in theory, do anything without the devil. But then, when you get into more theology, I mean, that's just kind of kid Catholic school talk with kid Catholic school teachers. But when you get into theology, is there a devil, right? Is it Lucifer? Is it Samuel? Is it, all these different things? Demons, if they exist in that world, they're dependent on the devil, I think, is what I would say.
Okay. Because when I was looking up Samael, which is the name they say that Lucifer originally had on the show, and he said they don't go by that name anymore. But that's not a traditional name for Lucifer. And when I was looking up this character, again, we have to go to the Black Book of Enoch, and then apparently there's a division of opinion. Either Samael is, whose name means like venom of God, is either the angel that God sends to plague people with the plague when he feels like taking down some people, or is it one of the demons who follow Lucifer who then puts the plague on people because Lucifer wants people to be dead. So apparently even mythology can't agree on whether Samael is God's plague sender or Lucifer's plague sender.
And those those archangels come out of Pharisaic Judaism, developing right before Jesus. Jesus was a Pharisaic Jew, but really coalescing in the Middle Ages around Lake Tiberias, in Palestine. So, but traditionally, I mean, I was always taught Michael was like God, Gabriel speaks for God, Raphael heals for God, Uriel is God's light. But Satan was always Satanael, God's accuser, was one of the names I had heard for Satan as an archangel. So that was always in Catholic theology, Satan was God's accuser. In other words, he stood up to God and he questioned God, and that's why the war happened.
And that's what the whole first chapter of Job.
Yes.
It's God and Satan having a conversation. Have you seen my servant Job? And Satan saying, well, yeah, but you haven't let me mess with him yet. Right? So you have this whole scene in heaven where apparently Satan gets to go and chat up God. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's interesting because maybe dualism, which I don't, subscribe to, but yeah, in most theology I know, Satan, Lucifer, devil is not equal to God. But in dark light dualism, people tend to set them that way, right? So this series is clear about not setting them as equal, right? Very clear.
Lucifer often seems afraid when someone says, hey, your dad could come down and smite you, and he reacts with fear, but then God never shows up to smite him, so we don't really know as the audience. Is that something, I guess we believe Lucifer's fear that he believes his father will do this.
Well, it was fascinating. I just rewatched that episode again around season 3, like 17-ish, where he was worried that that anybody he cared about, that God was going to go after them to punish him, which is a real satanic thing to do. Right?
Okay, final thoughts for this episode?
Like I said, I really like the way they developed demons in here. It is confusing. I think it evolved, of course, as it would over the years, from how they thought of the demons early on. Like you said, it's just kind of there. But then by the time they talk to Abel, we get much more about what the demons did. So it's growing.
All right. Well, maybe we'll see a few more in season 5 then.
Maybe, or with God around, I don't know.
We don't know. All right. So thanks for joining us for another episode of Infernal Intercourse. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons and get me some more subscribers. So we'll see you
Ring the
time.
bell. That way you'll get notified every time. Yeah.
That's right. Ring that notification bell. Thanks. We'll see you next time.